Hi, Larry Stewart here. I'm with CONEXPO-CON AGG 365, and I want you to meet Brady Lewis, who's the program manager for the development of Case's Minotaur project, which is a mashup, if you will, between a compact track loader and a crawler dozer. And we're here to find out a little bit about how the machine is developed. Everybody saw this thing that went to CONEXPO in 2017 and 2020. It's been a long iterative process. The pandemic slowed things down some. Brady, what about this machine is new compared to what we saw, say, in 2020?
So really the main difference in this machine versus where it was at in 2020 is this thing has been put through the ringer. Okay. So the basic machine, the whole concept of this compact dozer loader, that this machine that can do the job of both a small dozer and a track loader, that's still the same core idea. We've really made sure that the quality is there and the reliability is there, and that's what really the cake is fully baked since CONEXPO 2020.
Right. Well, we've talked a lot in presentations this morning about the 650, about this machine compared to the 650. But I remember in 2020 when we talked about it, you were saying that you kind of had the sort of then discontinued 450C in mind with the design on this. Is this somewhere in between the 450 and the 650 in terms of its dozing capacity?
Exactly. That's exactly right. So the original concept that we showed was based on the old 450 dozer, and as the program has developed, it's gotten a little bit bigger. So we do share a lot of components with the 650, so our steel undercarriage, a lot of components shared with that. Our blade is a lot from the 650, but we are a smaller machine than the 650 is. And so it really fits in that spot in the dozer lineup below our 650, a little bit above where the old Case 450 was. There actually was a 550 at the time, and it's very similar to that machine.
Oh, okay, all right. And before we get off thinking about this machine as a compact track loader because of the way it looks, this sort of thing really is designed to be a dozer. I mean, that seems to me to be the real emphasis in this discussion. It's got the capacity to be a loader as well. But talk a little bit about the performance ability of this machine, that's sort of its bona fides as a dozer.
Correct, yes. This is definitely more than just a compact track loader with a dozer blade attachment. I mean, the key to that is our integrated C-frame. So the C-frame structure attaches directly to the frame of the machine, into the chassis, so that you get full push force into the structure. You're not doing any loading into your lift arm or any damage to your structures like that. It also gives you a lot more control as you're operating the machine. And the operation is the other area where we're really pulling that dozer DNA into this machine. And so the machine is set up to run exactly like a big case dozer. So either a 650 or even up into the 11 and the 16, 2050s. The control handles, the setup, an operator that is familiar with our dozers is able to get into the seat, feel comfortable, feel at home, and run it like a dozer.
Right, and the interesting thing about that, one of the interesting things about that is that switchover between the dozer mode and loader mode. There's a switch in here where this thing remaps the whole control structure for operating like people expect with a loader bucket on it.
Exactly right, yes. So there's a control pattern switcher that you can choose between ISO mode when you're running with a bucket or dozer mode when you have the blade attached. And that remaps all of the control functions so that your dozer joysticks that are in there, all the buttons do the same thing that you would expect that they would on a dozer. Then when you decouple your blade, which only takes a matter of a few minutes, you can switch the machine to ISO mode and run it like a compact track loader.
So the C-frame is something that we shouldn't get too far away from. That's pinned with heavy-duty pins directly to the frame underneath the machine, all from remote control from the cab. And the loader arms at that point are basically just lifting the dozer blade up clear of your load, right?
Exactly, yes. So the C-frame couples to the front of the machine, and it's on a hydraulic cylinder. So to detach or reattach the blade, you don't even have to get out of the seat. You just push a button and the pins retract and their C-frame goes off. And you're exactly right. The key item there, and what really differentiates the compact dozer loader from just any compact track loader with a dozer blade attachment, is the fact that all of that force is going into the chassis structure. So as you're pushing, your lift arms are attached, but they're on actually a 4-bar linkage, that there's no lateral force transmitted into your arms. And that makes sure that you have better control as you're pushing, but also helps the longevity of your lift arm.
Yeah, and you're pushing a good sized blade here. This isn't a dozer attachment. This is a blade, what, 90 or 96 inches, is that right?
Exactly, yes. So we literally took the blade that is offered on our 650. We made a few modifications to the way it mounts to the vehicle C-frame, but other than that, it is the same blade in both a 90 and a 96 inch width. So with the steel track option, you're over 25,000 pounds of drawbar push force, so you can definitely do the job of a dozer.
Yeah, and I also note that the weight on sort of the overall operating weight with the C-frame on this machine is, you know, clearly a nod to the way contractors buy dozers by the pound. Remind me, it's a lot. I can't remember the number.
So 18,000 pounds. It is not a light piece of equipment, but what you really gain there is that ability to do the dozing work. And even on a rubber track machine like this one sitting behind us, that weight really gives you excellent traction. So customers in our testing have been pleasantly surprised at how well even the rubber track pushes, that because of that machine weight, you're getting lots of push power, lots of traction on the ground.
Do you give up any weight with the rubber track machine versus the steel track options?
There's a little bit of less operating weight with the rubber track. The other factor that goes into it is whether or not you have the ripper. That also makes a difference on the operating.
Right. Yeah, that's something that you need to remember. There, also with this machine, there's a dedicated factory installed ripper as an option. You can get it without it and get counterweights, right?
Correct.
But you've also got a ripper.
Out of the factory, they come with the ripper option. They come with 3 shanks, but it has the capability to take up to 5. So if a customer wanted more of a scarifying application, they can do that.
And with that weight and size of this machine, what do you need to transport this thing?
So this machine at 18,000 pounds is at the upper end of what you can have with a 1-ton truck and a large gooseneck trailer.
I wanted to ask you about the drivetrain in this machine. Are people going to see what they're used to seeing underneath this machine from a compact track loader in terms of delivering power to the final drives?
So the machine is a hydrostatic drive, so that's very similar to what actually both our dozers and our compact track loaders have. If you looked at a spectrum of dozer versus compact track loader, the way the ground drive is set up is more like a compact track loader. There are a final drive outboard of the machine, whereas on a dozer they're kind of mounted, integrated into the chassis. So the drive motor and the final drive are there taking the operator inputs, and mechanically it's a 2-speed gearbox, but we do some setup to operate the machine like a dozer. We have what we call virtual gears. So even in a dozer mode, you can operate the machine with 16 virtual gears, so that it really lets the customer dial in the travel speed that they want, the push force that they want, while at the same time being able to have their dozer control handle fully detented forward and operate just like a big dozer.
In that drivetrain, are the components that are out there on other construction equipment, or are these all new components for the Minotaur?
So these are much heavier duty equipment than what is on a compact track loader.
Right.
They're probably not the same size as a dozer. It's kind of somewhere in between. So these are components that we have developed that are new to CNH. They're not new to our supplier. We chose some pretty experienced suppliers in this industry. And actually the drive motors, the other difference is that the gear ratios are different between rubber and steel tracks. So you'll notice if you study a spec sheet that the rubber track machine has a higher travel speed, a little less tractive effort.
How broad do you think the applications are for a machine like this in that kind of application? I mean, it seems to me like they can almost do sort of soup to nuts in what you need.
Exactly, and that's really the key thing for the Minotaur is this ability to do multiple jobs. So especially a an area that you're working maybe in a small construction site that you want a smaller package machine, or maybe it's something that there's a lot of transportation and you only want to transport the one machine on a 1-ton truck and not get a lowboy and all of the hassle with moving equipment around.
Yeah.
But it really gives you that advantage to be able to do the dozing application, and then also because you can drop off this dozer blade, you can put on a bucket and do anything that a compact track loader would do.
Backfill up against the foundation, you know, that kind of thing.
Exactly, and you can even put on any normal skid steer attachment. So the attachment coupler is the same universal standard used on every piece of equipment. You could theoretically go in with a Minotaur machine, you know, put a mulching head on it, clear the site, put a bucket on, dig a basement, build a house, and then when you're done, finish grade with the dozer blade and unload a truck of sod with pallet fork. So it lets you just have one machine on the job site, one truck, one operator, one fuel bill, all of that all together in one package. This thing is set up that it'll run out of the factory what we call our enhanced high flow, which is a 4,000 PSI system up to 41.6 gallons a minute.
Wow.
So it'll put a lot of horsepower out into your attachment, and it's got the cooling capabilities to handle that.
What sort of loader arm structure and configuration? Looks like parallel lift. How did that come about? What was the decision to use parallel lift on a machine like this?
Yeah, so definitely the Minotaur has a vertical lift linkage, and that's different than the original concept we showed back in 2017 when we kind of debuted the idea of having this machine. And so that's really based on our customer testing, really. That was a feedback that we got, that because this machine is so large and so powerful, it provides an excellent, you know, we've talked about the weight of the machine, an excellent base, stable base for a lifting application. And when you're doing that, you really want to have your maximum reach when you're at maximum height. So this is a 140-inch hinge pin height. Wow. So it's very tall. You can gift this machine up and over nearly the tallest dump truck you could find. We actually did some customer testing, and we were dumping into an articulated dump truck. So a very tall truck had no problem getting a bucket load of dirt into the machine. So that's all the strengths and characteristics that this machine has as a dozer. The other half of its personality is as a loader, and that's really what we're trying to show with the compact dozer loader.